Hello, it's so nice to see you again. How are you? Are you good? You having a good day? Is there anything I could do to make it even a little bit better other than give you a little tutorial in how to customize the colors within Canvas? If I can help make your day better, please let me know. Because you're making my day better just being here. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I think this is going to be one of my most favorite tutorials because I think it's one of the most important. Not only is it great to know how to change all of the colors using icon jar, but the purpose of color is really important in visual design. You know, we use it to put emphasis on specific elements. We use it to align it with our brand. We use it to communicate feelings. So for me, this is really the kind of almost the crux of using Canvas is starting to really make it yours through a variety of different colors. And I think before I even show you how to change the colors, it's really important for me to explain to you how the illustrations are generally constructed. This screen that we're looking at just now, this comes from the how-to guide for Icon Jar. It is over, I have to pull this out. So it's over in Visual Design with Canvas, over in this little box over here. And we basically have 5 different colors in general. Sometimes I use a couple more, which means you have even more control over the output of each of the images. But in general, we have a stroke, which is the outline. And that is a very dark grey. I never use black because black is super harsh, and it just, rather than it being dark, it sucks life out, and almost sometimes black doesn't feel as dark as a really dark grey. For example, it's a funny little known fact. I like to use a soft dark grey, so that's this one here, and then we have the highlight, which is the Canvas orange color that we use, and that is really to communicate the light source and to give a little bit of visual distinction and form on the illustrations. Then we have 2 different greys, and this one's quite important. It's important to know what the difference is. So the lighter of the 2 greys is the shadows inside of the bounds of the illustration, and the darker one is kind of like the lines on the outside of the illustration. And the reason that I separated them is because sometimes you might be laying these illustrations on a darker colored background, for example, and it's really nice to be able to change that outer color to merge more with your chosen background color, rather than having this grey put on it. And I think if I can do this, I'll be able to show you. So this would be a great example. So I have this dark grey here, and if I come in here and I've got this is the same illustration, and to change the colors here, I come over into this panel here, which is where we do the editing. And if I click on that color and come up to this drop down, by default it would, sorry, ignore what I just did. I'm going to pick the darker of the 2 greys. Okay, C1, C1, C1. You don't need to worry, just figure out which was darker and pick that one. And then I'm going to come over here, which is where I save my color codes, and you don't need to worry about that, but I'm going to take the darker one and do that. And you can see automatically, like the outline, anything that's not inside the illustration is now turned to this very dark purple. And then I'm going to take it back into Miro, and I'm going to put it here, and you can see that this looks a lot different from if I had done it a bit differently, which is if I'd taken the default one, you can see that like light grey outline there on it, and it just doesn't look as good as if you tweak that darker shadow to be a darker shade of the background color that you're trying to use. So I hope that that's clear. The main canvas color, this one is white, though sometimes I use a slightly super light darker shade of white, so that we can get some distinction and have a bit more control over the images. So let me jump over into the demo that I'm going to do. So we're going to make this, because this involves using 3. There's the default colors happening here, there's the secondary colors from Canvas, and there's the primary colors. So let's move over here and start working on it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find my wall, and here it is here, and I want to change the colors, and I want to change this wall to be purple. So I'm going to come into the colors that I know. So my mid color is here, and the mid color would be the white canvas. So I changed the white to be this new color. And what I can also do is I can add this to my palette so that I remember my brand colors for next time, right? So that was the mid color. This, if we look here, this is the light color. So light would be the highlights. So I come back into this drop down and I pick the color that is the highlight, and I'm going to change it here. And then I'm going to get my darker primary shade, which would be, so we've got the two grays, but I only want to touch the darker color with inside of the illustration. I don't need to touch the outer edges. So I'm going to pick the lighter of the two grays, and I'm going to change that there. And I'm going to click here, and this is really important. So sometimes you might be tempted to change the colors here, but then drag and drop from this main library, which is what we usually do. But actually what you want to do is drag it from here, because otherwise the colors won't come with it. So there we go, we've got this here. And then I also wanted in Miro to just draw like a light gray rectangle. So let's say that's there. Then I'm going to come up here, I'm going to grab clouds, and I know, you know, it will take you a while to get used to the library, but I know that I want these two. I'm going to take this here and reshape that way, and I would like that to be a little bit bigger, and I would also like that to come to the front. I think that will look better, and it does. And then I'm going to duplicate these, and then I'm going to rotate them so that we also have a top border up here. Lovely. And then I already know, if I go into people, I'm going to design your icons. I want to go to the people. I definitely wanted somebody sitting, and I'm trying to remember which one was the one that was sitting. Well, I mean, I could always search, couldn't I? Sitting. He was upright. I remember him being upright. Let me just have a quick look over here. Which one were you? Sit. Well, ladies and gentlemen, and anybody who doesn't identify by ladies and gentlemen, I love you too. There. Sit. There. You were hiding, sir. And I wanted you over here. And I do this like that. Scale him up a little bit. I say he, but we can make her a she. And then I also wanted somebody kind of presenting. And let's just imagine that we're going to put some post-it notes on here later. Pointing. Yeah, pointing's good. We like pointing. There you go. You can go there. But I also wanted to have some clouds, thought bubbles rather. So thought bubble. Which one did I want? I definitely want the stem coming from the left-hand side. So let's say I'm going to take this one. In here, I already know that I have saved my orange colors here. So if I take the canvas and then I'm going to change it to my mid of the secondary color, then I'm going to take the highlight color and change that to the lighter of my secondary colors. And then I'm going to take the lighter shadow on the inside and change that to my darker color. I'm going to drag and drop that there. Like that. I love it when it starts coming together. And then I want a speech bubble. And I wanted the one with the lines on it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, something like this. Let's go for that one. And I also want this to be styled the same. So my canvas is colored mid. My highlight is the lighter color. Yeah, that's right. Come down here, light. And then my shadow, like that. And let's take that and put that there. And I kind of want him a little bit more out the way, right? Like that. You can see that those lines are a little bit thinner than the rest. This is a tutorial that we're coming to tomorrow, how to align the different line weights. But for now, let's just say that we would sort that out later. And let's imagine that this was going to be a canvas area where people were going to slap down post-it notes. I may also, let's say I'm going to make a frame so that everything has the background colour of white, because I think that looks better rather than seeing my dots in the background. You can see that the native size of the post-it note is quite big, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab everything here. Can I grab that too? Can I grab all of it? I can. And I'm going to deselect the post-it note because I don't want to change that, but I'm going to make all of this big. Well, I still grab the post-it note, but that's all right. Let's revert it back to a medium size. All right, well, medium is looking quite small right now. It depends how much content you want to have here. Then maybe I'd call it large, make the default post-it note large, or maybe you'd scale it back down again so that a medium or a small post-it note would work. But as you can see, that everything is just scaling up and down with it. And now you know how to change things per color. You also know that you can save your own palettes in here by using the plus icon. And you also know that to drag and drop anything with changes to colors, you have to drag it from the inspector. And you can do that for multiple. So I'm going to drag 4 and I drag all of them across. And you see they all have the change in color. Okay, and if you want to reset the colors, you can either come here, let's go there, reset to defaults, or what you could have also done is select any of the other collections and it would have changed back. So I hope that's been really helpful, and at least now we have a first real world example of how you can change colors and create some nice visual interest for your exercise areas using Canvas. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was useful. See you tomorrow.